Howdy folks, welcome to another episode of Overlooked Modules, and today we're going to be taking a look at this module right here. It's the Envade from Pluton Modular. And by the way, if you haven't seen this series, there's a playlist, and I'll link that in the description if you want to check it out. But in this series, I just take a closer look at some of the modules that I like to think are kind of hidden gems that maybe have less of a following. Sometimes they're some of the most inexpensive modules out there. This particular one, I got this at KnobCon 10 or KnobCon X, the 2022 version. And I'd actually already seen Pluton on Etsy. They have an Etsy store where they sell these. And this here module, if you buy it as a DIY kit, it's about $40. And that's what I did, is I bought the DIY kit because I love DIY stuff. Or you can buy a completed one. I think it's around $60 for the completed one. There's a CV out jack, there's a gate out jack, couple knobs here, and there's a big arcade button. And if I push this, you see the button lights up, and also this gate light up here lights up. Okay? Nothing too fancy there. And so the button light is telling you what's coming out of this jack, whereas the gate light here is telling you what's coming out of this jack. Okay? So right now they're both basically doing the same thing. But what you see here is there's these two knobs because there's a built-in envelope generator. So for instance, if I bring the rise up and I leave the fall at a low volume, at a low setting, what should happen is when I hit the button should take a while to become bright, and then it should turn off very quickly. So you see that there, and then when I let go, it should, okay? But you notice this one is just instantly bright right from the beginning. Or inverse, if you do this, then it should take it should go bright instantly, but take a long time to die out. So that's what this module does. It sends a gate output and a CV curve envelope, whatever you want to call it, at the same time that you press this button. So you can probably already start to think of a few uses for this, but I'm just going to patch together a couple real quick to show you just some of the things that it can do. Okay, so I just threw together a quick patch using the Envade here, and you can see the gate out is going over here to my sequencer, and then this blue wire is a pitch sequence going up to a sine wave oscillator that's up above. That sine wave output is going into a VCA, and then this output here is being used to open and close the VCA. So what that means is when I hit this button, we should get an envelope to open the VCA, and we should hear the sine wave, but at the same time we should also be advancing the sequencer here. So each time I press this button, we should get a different pitch of that sine wave. So let's see. Kind of a manually advanced sequencer. And of course we can adjust the rise fall here if we want something that's a little more drawn out. Or we could reverse it if we wanted something that swells a little bit. We could give it a rise like that. So a few different things you can do like that. Kind of a fun little way to do this. You could make it really snappy if you want. Anyway, there's one idea. Let's patch something else up. Okay, so another simple patch we can do here with this module. I've got this wire here going to a percussion module, and then I've got this wire going to that same VCA like I did last time to use an envelope to control the VCA. Well, instead of feeding an oscillator in there, I'm using this white noise source into the VCA for the envelope, and then of course I'm going to mix in the sound of the percussion module. So real quick, let me turn the percussion module down. Here's what the white noise sounds like. Kind of like waves crashing or something. Okay, and then let me turn that down, and then here's what the percussion module sounds like. So if we put them both together, we should get something like this. And of course, if we would rather have the white noise ramp up instead of down, we could do something like this. Now let's give it both. So just kind of a couple things you can do with this. You probably thought of 100 things of your own right now, but let's try one more. Okay, so this patch might look a little more dense, but it's actually still pretty simple. So our CV out here from the Envade is still going to open a VCA. And our gate out is going over to the sequencer to clock its forward movement, kind of like we did earlier. But then we're also taking the clock out from the sequencer, so keep in mind that's still tied to this button, because that's the in and out, effectively. And we're sending that to a sequential switch. Now the pitch out from the sequencer, just like before, is going up to an oscillator, but now I've multed it, and it's actually going to three different oscillators. So then those 3 oscillators come down here into the sequential switch. Here's 1, 2, and 3. And the output from the sequential switch is going to that VCA, which is being controlled by this jack right here. So what that should mean is now every time I hit this button, I should not only be opening the VCA to hear the sound, I should also be advancing the sequence, but each time I advance the sequence, it should also be changing between 3 different oscillators. So we're not just going to get different note each time, we're going to get a different oscillator each time, so a completely different wave. And additionally, I've set the sequencer to random mode, so it should be really kind of chaotic, but everything should be in tune. Let's try it. There you have it. So that's just one other thing you can do with the Envade. Okay, folks, that was the Envade from Pluton Modular. Cool little module here, and again, very inexpensive. And had fun talking to the folks from Pluton Modular, NobCon, cool folks. And just such a fun little module with this arcade button. It's just really addictive to use. So if you're interested in something like this, it's a good one to check out. I will link their Etsy store in the description, so check it out. And if you like this video, why don't you go ahead and give it a thumbs up for me. See you soon.